All right, we've got Meghan Patrick on Pure Country. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Had a very busy couple of days, but exciting things because you do have all this new music coming out. And I know it's an EP, so it's 6 songs, and it might be less than you've maybe put out before, but I feel like it's more you, even though it's less songs.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, we talked about doing a full-length record and doing an EP, and, just the way that music is consumed now, people don't really listen to and buy full records anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's just they listen to whatever the single is on radio or whatever's being playlisted, on all the streaming services. And so, when I put out full records in the past, it's like I felt like a lot of songs just kind of fell by the wayside and got missed. Yeah, because people just didn't absorb it. So we felt like doing the EP was the best way to make sure that every song kind of gets its moment and gets heard. But yeah, this feels, I was more hands-on excuse me, on this project, just with everything, not just the songwriting and the music, but just, the imaging and the branding and right down to the color scheme, like the font, every little thing. I was a part of that whole creative process. So this feels like the most all-encompassing and the most me thing that I've put out.
Yeah, and I felt that as soon as I started listening to it. I'm like, I feel like this is so Meg.
Thank you.
And Wild As Me is such a beautiful song, and it's such a different vein for you, and it kind of showcases your voice in a way that I feel like I've never heard it before. Is that kind of why you wanted to put that one out as your first track off of this new music?
Yeah, sorry.
She's been talking and singing a lot lately.
Yeah. There was a lot of reasons. I mean, I think first of all, I've never really put out a love song before. Certainly not as a single. And I don't know. It felt very representative of this sort of new era of music, and it was a fresh perspective in terms of where I was at in my life that I hadn't really touched on before in my previous music, and also just stylistically, it felt just so me, just the instrumentation and the style of it. And I've spent a lot of time working on my songwriting in the last year. Well, I mean longer than that, but specifically I've been really digging in over the last year, and really trying to not even just focusing on lyrics or the content of the songs, but what are the sweet spots in my voice? What are the ways that I can sing that sound the most me, and that are sort of defining characteristics of my voice. And we felt like that song had that.
Yeah,
so.
I think you definitely found it. I love that song so much.
Thank
but
you.
I feel like this EP has so many pieces of you. It's got that sassy side. It's got the honest side. It's got the love side to it. Chaser is such a cool song. And I've noticed, which is kind of crazy, that I feel like when you put out music before, earlier on in your career, it takes a little while for fans to resonate with it and learn the lyrics and stuff. What's it like now? You put out a song and like days later you go play a show and they're already singing it back to you.
It's amazing. It kind of blows my mind. I mean, there was even, we've been playing a lot of the stuff off the EP through the summer, just kind of, putting it out there. And, I'll repost stuff on my story and, just on Instagram. So there are kind of, little clippets and like versions of those songs available for people to hear. But I mean, it hasn't been released yet, but there are people singing along to songs that I haven't even released yet just from watching those little clips. So, to me, that speaks volumes, I think, to hopefully the way this record's going to resonate with people, because it seems like it already has, just from the little bits and pieces they've seen. So,
well, I had that happen when I was listening to it. I was singing one of your songs, and I'm like, what song am I singing right now? And I had only listened to it once, so that's a good thing that it's sticking with you.
Good.
So, obviously, I want to talk to you because I haven't actually gotten to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
You had a pretty interesting situation happen to you at a festival, and it blew up everywhere in the best way possible and in a light that I think it should have, had happened. Not a comfortable situation to have happen to you, but I think you handled it in the best way you could have. And I think the cool message of it is that a lot of people took from it, it's okay to stand up for yourself. And why was that so important to you to get that message out from that situation?
Well, when that happened, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to make this a thing. I'm going to, make this big speech and then this video is going to go viral and all this. I was honestly, it was a very knee-jerk reaction. I was just saying exactly what was on my mind. I said it the way it was happening in my mind, hence the explicit language.
You had a right to be the way you were.
Thank you. But yeah, and also, the very few negative comments that I did get, either about the language, whatever. I feel that, yes, I could have said what I said with less explicit language, but I don't think it would have had the impact that it did. Yeah. Because I think the frustration and the anger and the passion behind it was clear. Yeah. Because it's not the first time something like that's happened to me. Yeah. And it's not the first time I've called somebody out either. It's just the first time that a video got put out and people went crazy. Yeah. But, again, I've never really intended to necessarily use my platform as an artist for anything other than my music. But it kind of made me realize that, I do have the power to influence and inspire people, and I always just thought it would just be through my songs, but that particular situation obviously had a really big impact on a lot of people, and it makes me feel really good to know that I could do that because, I haven't always been this strong and assertive and confident person, I was certainly raised that way and it's kind of always been there, but I've had moments in my life where I haven't stood up for myself and I've kicked myself for it and I've felt weak and small and, I'm at a place in my life where I'm confident enough to do that, and I want to be able to inspire other people to get to that place in their own lives too. And
I think it was cool seeing parents' reactions saying that, okay, I know that some of the language wasn't something I'd maybe want my kid to hear right now, but the message of it, it didn't matter because that was what mattered. And I think that was cool to see that, even just looking at you responding and having everyone reach out. So,
yeah, there was a lot of parents, and it wasn't just support from women either. It was honestly, there was a lot of men that reached out too, either just guys that are in the industry who have been around it and who have seen it and are equally as frustrated as I am as a woman. But also, there was some men that reached out that said, I have 2 daughters and, I hope they grow up to be as assertive as you and to stand up for themselves. And I will teach them to do that. And, we played at the CNE the other night in Toronto, and there was just so many little girls there wearing Meghan Patrick t-shirts and, just seeing how excited they got to see me. And both, they and their parents were like, oh my gosh, you're like their idol and they look up to you and we're so proud of you for what you did. So to know that I could have that impression on a girl that's young, that's amazing. I hope that those girls don't have to go through some of the things that I had to go through to get to this point of being able to stand up for myself. So
and that's a way of using what you do. You probably never thought that it would be more than just music that you'd be, influencing on people. But I feel like you're definitely a good role model for
thank you.
People to stand up for themselves. Hey, no, you are. And you know what? I feel like everyone can kind of find the role model that fits them the best. Yeah. And I think that's kind of cool that you have a lot of young girls that look up to you. And then you kind of went to, I think it was Country Thunder, where it was Ladies' Day with Miranda and Tanya Tucker and Lindsay L. That's got to be kind of cool to just see how much, I know it's not always been a great time in country for women, but I feel like it is making its, turn around the corner.
I agree. And I think specifically those women are Tanya Tucker is a legend and an icon, and I was just like totally blown away. She's amazing. So cool. And I'll say this, I don't often feel like I'm being like out rednecked by anybody in most scenarios, but Tanya Tucker, like she takes the cake, man. Yeah, she's awesome. And Miranda was one of the first female country artists I ever was really inspired by and loved. And Lindsay, she's one of the few Canadian country artists that has really started to break in America. Yeah. And, she works so hard. She's one of the hardest workers I know, and she's just crazy talented. And I just love her. So that was like a dream lineup for me. It was awesome.
Looked like fun. All right. Well, your new EP is amazing. Wild as Me. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
Meghan Patrick on Pure Country.